Hello and welcome to Pratik Chess Videos.
Hey chess friends, today we're going to see game between Tal and Portisch. Well, both are famous players known for their style, and today we are going to see their game. This happened in the candidates quarter final, Tal versus Portisch match. The match had been like this. Sorry, the match had been like this. Tal won 4 games. Lost one and drew three. So 8 games had happened. This is the 8 games match. It had happened, and Tal won that match. This is the second round of that match. So let's start the game. Now the game started with e4, c6. Well, this is the Caro Khan. Now knights. Wait. Not bishop to d3. Here knight to c3, and then d5, then knight to f3, d into e4, knight into e4, then bishop to g4. Well, now knight to f6 is the modern treatment of the two knights variation, but in the game was played bishop to g4. Now after bishop to g4, h3, bishop into f3, queen into f3, knight d7, and now d4. A typical position for the Caro Khan. Black has traded off the light bishop, but the ensuring structures are a bit passive and offer white a pleasant edge thanks to the space advantage and bishop pair. Now knight gf6, bishop d3, knight into e4, queen into e4, e6, short castle. Now bishop to e7, and then c3, knight f6, and queen to h4. Queen to e2 has been seen here more often, but the text move is more adventurous and better fits with Tal's playing style. So now queen to h4, knight d5, queen g4, bishop f6, rook e1, queen to b6, and then, well, diagram here. Now c4. Objectively speaking, just a bad idea here. c4. This is a dubious move, weakening the d4 pawn, but with the king on e8, Tal is very much tempted to take advantage of its small lead in development. Here the immediate rook into e6 check mistake is much bad, just bad because on count of f into e6, v into e6 check, king f8 with rook e8 to come next, and white's attack quickly comes to an end. A technically more correct idea here is, well, after queen to b6, queen to h5, which is a interesting move. Now preventing black from castling, while after g6, queen f3, bishop g7, h4. Good move. White generates some activity on the king side. Now knight to b4. Wait, no, not knight to b4, not knight to b4. Here, this position, white is better. So in the game, it was just played, not all this, but after queen to b6, then c4, and then knight to b4. Uh, Now rook into e6 check, f into e6, queen into e6 check, king to f8. This is a dubious move. Possibly, Portisch here thought the rook sacrifice wasn't correct, as with the alternative king to d8, queen d6 check, bishop f5 threatens a mate, but after the simple reply queen to c7, bishop to f4, queen to e7 would force the exchange of queens. So that's why not bishop f4, queen d6 check, so king e8. And then white hasn't anything better than repeating the moves queen e6 check, and then it's a equal position. So and also there's an alternative bishop to e7, then bishop to g6 check. Interesting move. Now bishop to g5, queen c7, rook e1, mistake. This is a mistake, and well, after we see, before we see what it fails to, firstly let's see bishop into h7. It's still worth checking, though after king to d8, interesting move. Uh, Looks as if black is just fine. So that's why bishop to now let's see. All right, bishop to e7. Instead of bishop g6 check, bishop g5, queen c7, and then rook e1 mistake here fails to knight into d3. Good move as bishop into e7 can be met by uh, well. Now, firstly, let's check a variation. Queen into e7 check, queen into e7, rook into e7 check, king to f8, and this is a black is winning and white doesn't have enough for the rook. And here, after queen into e6 check, uh, well, pretty much of variation. So now that's why after bishop e7, bishop to g5, queen to c7, rook e1, then knight to d3, bishop into e7 can be met by queen to d7. Good move, and black is winning, and black neutralizes the threats. So let's go to the variation main line. So bishop g6 check, Well, things are getting a little complex here. So bishop g6 check, now king to d8, h into g6, here, h into g6, bishop g5, queen c7, and then rook e1, winning the game here with a crushing attack for white. Now queen to d7, queen into g6 check, the point of bishop to g6, now king to d8, rook into e7, queen into e7, bishop in. Wait. No, not these moves. Those are just horrible. Yeah. Rook into e7, queen into e7, bishop into e7, check, king into e7, queen into g7, check, king to d6, queen f6, check, king to d7, then queen to f7, check, king to c8, king d6, then c5 mate. So king to c8, then queen to e6 check, and next move there's double attack, winning the knight. So well, now after bishop to g6 check, king to d8, now bishop to f5, we are still continuing in the variation. Now queen into d4, queen c7, mistake here, runs into bishop to f4, queen to c8, queen to e4, white is winning, uh, and the black queen is trapped. The black queen is literally trapped. So bishop to f5, queen to d4, bishop to f4, rook to e8, queen into f4. Yeah. Queen d7, mate comes with queen into f4, so bishop f4, rook e8, rook e1, g6, bishop to g4, intending bishop e5 and rook d1, bishop to e3, mistake, queen d6, and black consolidates. Black is winning. So here that's why after bishop to g4, now knight to d3, rook to e4, queen into f2 check, king to h1, queen to g1 check, king into g1, bishop to c5 check, bishop to e3, rook into e6, rook into e6, and then this is a equal position. So now with a more or less balanced endgame. So now finally, well, the big variation has ended. So now let's go to the main line. Let's go. Now king f8, bishop f4, threatening bishop to d6. Now rook d8 and then c5. Good move. A very important move to retain the initiative. Black can no longer take on d4 with the queen. But even more importantly, the defensive idea c6 to c5 offering the exchange of queens has been ruled out now. So now instead of that, if bishop to d6 check, a dubious move, rook into d6, queen into d6 check, bishop to e7, queen to f4 check, king to e8, followed by a rook to f8, and black is all right. There's no time to bring new troops by means of rook e1, mistake in view of c5, a good move, and black is winning. So that's why after c5, now knight into d3, if queen to a5, then it can be met by rook to e1, good move. Knight into d3. Bishop to d6 check, good move. And then rook into d6 and then queen to e8 mate. So after knight into d3, then c into b6, knight into f4. From a material perspective, black isn't doing so badly at all with the rook and two minor pieces for the queen. But here the lack of coordination and king safety here doesn't enable black to untangle. So now queen to g4. Now knight to d5, b into a7. Now king to e7, mistake. The idea to get the rooks connected is very logical, but bringing the king to the center is too optimistic. A safer plan was g6. Interesting move with the idea of placing the king on g7. It's not possible to go right away after the a pawn with rook to a8. Mistake because of queen to d7. A good move, and black still can't take on a7 well, rook into a7, queen to c8, check, king f7, and then queen into h8. And here it's plus minus, white is winning. So that's why king to e7. Now king to e7 was a mistake. So b4, a great idea aiming to exploit the vulnerability of the black king and lack of coordination between the remaining pieces. So now rook to 8. Understandably, black wants to get rid of the annoying pawn on a7. Alternatives also don't offer salvation. Here, knight into b4 is too dangerous, opening an additional file for the rook to work with. So, rook e1 check, king to d6, queen f4, or check, king to d7, uh, king to d5, king to d5, queen f5 check, king to d6, king into d4, then rook to e4 check, king to c3, queen to c5 check, is also game over. So that's why, well, after king to d5, in the variation of the variation, here king d6, queen c5 check picks up the knight. And that's why king to d7, but now rook to b1, bishop to e7, and then just a3. Good move. White is winning here. So now, and if the knight moves, the rook enters on b7. So that's now another alternative here instead of taking is b5. Instead of playing rook 8 is b5 to stop b4, b5, but allowing a4. Good move, b into a4, b5, c into b5, queen e2 check, followed by queen into b5, and the queen side will be totally open and thus black collapses. Rook e1 check, now was played. Wait, not now, not now, not now. It was not played now. Yeah, yeah, it was not played, so that's the thing. So now queen to e2 check, and in the game now, let's go into the game now. Rook e1 check, king to d6, and then b5. Good move. Queen to e6 check is premature because of king to c7, b5, rook h2 d8 with counterplay, and black is in control. So here after b5, rook into a7, rook h d8, b6, securing the pawn on a7. Uh, in case of knight into b6, rook b1, king to c7, queen to f4 check, rook to d6, rook into b6, winning the knight. So now after no wait, not this. Wait to see, just delete this variation. Yep. So after rook has d8, well, what do we do after rook has d8? We play b6 here, securing the pawn here. But now, after knight into b6, rook b1, king c7, here I win the knight. So on the way back, after instead of rook into a7, if c into b5, then queen to e6 check, and white wins the knight. So after rook into a7, just rook e6 check, king c7, and then rook into f6. And black resigned because of knight into f6. If g into f6, queen g7 check, plus minus. So here if knight into f6, then also queen into g7 check, and white picks up the rook when black is left behind in a lost ending. Alright, this was the beautiful game by Mikhail Tal. Such a beautiful game. Totally, totally beautiful. It was such a complex and beautiful game by Tal. He just sacrificed with rook into e6 and tore his way through, and then he outplayed black. Amazing, amazing. So this was the game. Well, I hope you like this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.